RTE Soccer Women's World Cup podcast, sponsored by Cadbury. For grassroots to national level, a supporter and a half of women's football in Ireland.
Turn the world round, shut the show down. I've been spinning, couldn't slow down. On the roll now.
So, disappointing debut for the Republic of Ireland, the Girls in Green, at the Women's World Cup. 1-0 defeat to Australia, but an awful lot to be proud of and an awful lot to be hopeful about heading into next Wednesday's game against Canada. To discuss the game, I've been joined by former Ireland international Marie Curtin. How are you doing, Marie?
Hi, Mikey. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm very good. Before we get into the match, because there's plenty to discuss, it would be nice to get a sense of what watching that game today meant to you as a former Ireland international. I know you were up in Dublin in Dalymount Park at an event, organised to watch it. As so many people watched the game today, I think a lot of people were coming together to watch it. Could you just give us an idea of the emotions that stirred up in you?
Yeah, it's just, football has come a long way. Women's football has come a long way in the country, and yeah, just so proud. I guess there's always that bit of regret of where we've come from, but it's so exciting to see where we are now, and there's still loads of room for improvement for generations to come. So it's only getting better. Like, just the support for the team over there, it's just it's lovely. It's so good to see, and I'll always kind of hold on to it, as in I'll always feel a little bit part of it, having been there for so long, kind of stepping away at the end of 2012, but just so proud, and like, what a moment to be at the World Cup, the crowds that are supporting it, the whole nation behind the girls, so it's unbelievable.
It certainly is. And I think the game, probably you could say it probably went the way a lot of people might have expected it to go. Ireland defensively so organised, so well drilled, just everybody knows exactly what they're doing. And Australia obviously incredibly frustrated for long periods. Not having Sam Kerr would have blunted their front line, but you would have said at halftime, job done thus far. Keep it up, and you never know, you might nick something from a set piece. So like, after 45 minutes, I think everybody wasn't the greatest game of football, but we were all pretty chuffed, I think, weren't we?
Yeah, well, when you look at it in terms of the game plan, we kept to it well. We all know the style of football Vera likes to play, rigid structure in terms of our formation, and there were glimpses of us getting out on the counter, which probably put a bit of manners on Australia momentarily, but we still revert to sitting back, going back to the plan, and so which just allowed, I suppose, look, we have less possession in the game because of that, but yeah, in terms of doing the job, sticking to the plan, we did very, very well in the first half. There were a lot of good performances as well, which were really, really positive. We had some chances, which was very encouraging, and above all, the first half was good in keeping them out and in denying them. And as the game developed, we were unlucky with the penalty, and just more of a clumsy tackle, unluckily for Marissa Shiva. And so up to that point, we were doing so well. With the changes that came then in the second half, probably refreshed things a little bit. So we pushed on again. Yes, we had some half chances, but nothing really set for us right. And so I don't think we troubled Australia too much. But at the same time, they had to see out the game. They made some changes at the end to just see out the game, manage the game, make sure they don't concede. Look, Australia are a very, very good team. Even without Sam Kerr, they have a really good squad depth, and so I think the girls would have surprised a lot of people. I think they did a lot better than what a lot would have thought.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, it was Steph Catley, the standing captain, who fired in the penalty in the 52nd minute after, as you mentioned, Marisa Shiva. It was a tangle of legs. It was the hand on the back. It was unfortunate, and you could see how upset she was after the game. But there's no denying it was a penalty. It was 100% a penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just one of those more clumsy ones. She was recovering. I think she was covering Katie McCabe at the time, and it was a fumble of legs, if you like. So really unfortunate. Steph Catley stood up and she stuck it top left corner. There was no stopping it. Although we lived in hope. Um, but other than that, Australia didn't stretch us really. They tried to open us up, but they looked for that race at the back, which is what they're good at, that direct and that ball over the top. But they weren't able to do that. So from that perspective, it was hugely positive that we weren't massively troubled. Yes, there were a threat, but yeah, I think we did ourselves very, very proud in terms of how we played.
Yeah. We had some kind of game changers coming off the bench as well. I think we kind of maybe there was a little bit of surprise maybe at some of the players who were brought on. But Abbie Larkin came on only 18, and she made a serious impact. And I think we shouldn't get too down on ourselves after this result, because if you listen now to this Tony O'Donoghue's interview with Abbie Larkin, you can just hear what a thrill it was for a teenager to come on and play in her first World Cup and to have a positive impact.
Abbie, your World Cup debut, how did that feel?
Tony, it was amazing. Honestly, it was a dream come true. This is obviously all I wanted growing up as a kid, and yeah, to even get that chance, obviously the nerves were there, but I think I was more excited than nervous really. I just kind of have to block out all the noise and just play your own game, So.
You created chances. You made a big difference when you came on.
Yeah, I was getting told that. Yeah, I think I did, to be fair. I think I just came into the game, I was like, we need to win this. Like, just the passion takes over a lot, and yeah, I think I done well. So.
You're putting your hand up for selection for the next game, but how disappointing was it to lose to just one goal and a penalty at that?
Yeah, it's obviously going to be disappointing. Obviously, we as a team, we didn't give up. We kept going to the last minute, and that's what World Cup football is. We're proving that we're well capable, Ireland, coming into the World Cup and showing what we're about. Obviously, we were unlucky with the penalty, but yeah, overall, I think we played really well as a team, and we're just going to put our heads down now and get the result in the next game. So.
What about the experience for you? Just 18 years of age, to first of all be chosen in the squad and then to actually get on.
I'm 18 and yeah, I think it's amazing. Yeah, as I said, it's a dream come true, and playing with the likes of my idols that I looked up to when I was younger, and I still do. I look up to every single girl in this team, and yeah, it's obviously the experience is amazing as well, and yeah, I'm proud and honoured to come onto that pitch today and yeah, show what I'm about.
Well, you did great, and as I say, hopefully putting your hand up for selection the next day. Well done.
Thank you, thanks Tony.
Yeah, that was Abbie Larkin there talking to Tony O'Donoghue after the match. Yeah, I think we can all appreciate the kind of the joy she felt at what is a massive moment in her career, and she's only 18, as she said herself, quite enthusiastically. She did make quite the impact though, didn't she?
Yeah, I think they refreshed the game when they came on, herself and Louise Quinn. They came on, I think Australia were well on top, but after they arrived onto the pitch, we started to get a bit more attacking. Again, we were starting to get up the pitch a little bit, kept a bit of ball. We challenged them. So they came in, they made a good difference. Yeah, look, Abbie, such a young player, so it's great for her. I think the game suited her, to play in the top of that box in midfield. It just suited her and the strengths that she has, the runner, able to keep ball, able to make things happen, able to transition to attack, good work rate. So she did very well. Yeah, and they pressed on, and there was a few chances that unfortunately just didn't lie in the right way for us.
Yeah, they really didn't. You often have those moments when you're watching Ireland or whatever team you love, and they get a 90th minute free kick on the edge of the box, and you instantly, like, your hope is raised. And so often they come to nothing. They hit the wall. They don't go anywhere. Megan Connolly's free kick was probably goal bound and got a flick off the wall, and it still went perilously close. And then from the resulting corner, we had a very good chance for Katie McCabe. And, it did seem like there was momentum building, but as you said, like, the game plan was stuck to until the closing 10 minutes or so. And it does make you hope. It makes you wonder, should we have gone for it a little bit earlier? But then obviously the flip side of that is Ireland play the way they play to restrict the opposition from scoring. If we'd opened up, we could have been 2 or 3-0 down. So that's the decision Vera Pauw has to make, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but look, Mikey, I think there's areas to improve on too. In the professional game now, there are really top technical coaches that focus only on throws, and we were very disappointing off throws today. If we're going to, sit back like that, and if that's going to be our style of play, then set pieces become huge. So you would have liked Vera, and she's normally very organized, very has her game plan. So I'm surprised that we didn't offer more off throws. We could have had a switch or better movement, or just we were a bit of a one-trick pony with throws, and I think we only managed to keep the ball off 1 or 2 out of maybe 10 or 11, which is not good enough at this level. Our success rate off throws needs to be higher. So if that's one area that we can look at, I really hope the management team have a look at that and prepare better, because they're the opportunities where we can keep ball. We saw during the game there was excellent moments where we just possessed the ball and actually threatened a little bit, which was great to see. It was very, very encouraging. And so, yeah, that is the area where I hope we improve on. I hope that we go back now and just refocus for Canada.
It's a shame that possibly the greatest throw-in threat in women's football, or possibly women or men's football, was sitting in the RT studio today and wasn't available to play, obviously, in Megan Campbell. Perhaps they'd built their entire throw-in technique or game plan around Megan being able to launch it into the box from 30 yards out, which is a good tactic when you have it.
Absolutely. I think we were all disappointed that Megan Campbell didn't make it, just with her injuries. Her and a couple of others that Vera just didn't take the chance on, and fair enough. Like, Vera's gone for a very fit team where even Canada, who were about to play, they have had some injury concerns as well, and their manager Bet has gone with keeping them in the squad and hoping that they will be right for game selection. So yeah, look, it's just a pity that we don't have the Megan Campbells, but yeah, let's go back to the drawing board on that. And we need more solutions. It's just not good enough to have just 5% success rate off throws. It's there are opportunities to keep the ball.
Absolutely. I suppose from open play, we would be looking at, our star players like Katie McCabe, Denise O'Sullivan, kind of to make an opening. That, again, Sinead Farrelly was excellent in it, when she had the ball in midfield, which wasn't that often the way we were playing, but also she pitched in defence. There was one great tackle and back heel in the first half in the corner. But again, she came off after an hour, and we're talking about, Vera valuing fitness above nearly anything else. It's clear that, Sinead Farrelly, she's fit, but after so long out of the game, she's not match fit. And, you'd wonder, are we going to get the same 60 minutes against Canada, or is she even going to be able to feature as much against Canada with the quick turnaround? It's a concern, because you can already see how central she is to Vera's plans.
Yeah, look, I'm sure with heart rate monitors and the technology they have now, they'll manage that. I really like Sinead Farrelly. She's a lovely player. I do think the more she plays with the group, that she will improve as well. She put on a good performance today. We can see there's a real baller in there. She's able to win possession back. She's able to keep possession. She's able to create. She's tough. She gets stuck into the tackle. So it's great to have her in there. But I think we keep forgetting that we do have a really strong squad there. Yeah, and we did have a wider squad that there was some players who could be disappointed not to make it, but there are options there. The likes of Liliag could have came on equally today and made a difference. you know, Kira Grant, there are options there, you know, even Megan Connolly coming back into midfield.
Amber Barrett being left on the bench and Louise Quinn being sent up front. There, you know, there's questions around whether that's the most progressive tactic either, isn't it?
Yeah, it just didn't feel like it worked today. I was expecting Amber Barrett to enter the field. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. At one stage, we saw Louise Quinn up on the right of a front three, so that was questionable. But you know, if things had fallen for her, it would be a different conversation. But it just didn't look right. And yeah, that's somewhere where you would think that someone like Amber Barrett coming on, natural striker, and to make a difference. So yeah, we didn't see it, but you know, there's a long tournament there, and hopefully Vera will be able to rely on her squad.
Yeah, 100%. We speaking of Louise Quinn, she also did an interview with Tony O'Donoghue after the game. And it's a different tone to Abbie Larkin. You know, she's a veteran. You know, as much as she's loving being at a World Cup, she's a winner. So is Abbie Larkin, but they're just a different stage of their career, and the pride in her achievement, but also just the sheer disappointment in how close they got is it's very obvious here, and it's well worth the listen.
Ice around your ankle, a tough physical encounter. How do you think we did?
I think we have a lot to be proud of. I think we've showed ourselves, showed what kind of team we are, which is, listen, it's 100%, it's physical, it's togetherness, it's being Irish. We put a really Irish performance in there, and we are disappointed not to get something from the game, but so proud of the team. We've you know, first tournament World Cup game against the hosts. You know, it doesn't get better than that, and we didn't let that get to us. We played our game.
There wasn't an official player of the match tonight, but you cleared stuff as you always do. You finished the game up front, and we nearly snatched something at the end.
Yeah, that was listen, it's something we can do, and we have lightning pace on the wings and people who can deliver great balls in, and that's the thing. Yeah, I want to be a threat in both boxes, really. But yeah, that one it might hurt a little bit. I got a bit of contact on it, but just not enough. But again, just so proud.
Vera says, "Bring the storm." We kind of brought the storm tonight, didn't we?
Absolutely. We, you know, when backs are against the walls, which we were, Australia are a fantastic team. Brilliant players everywhere on the pitch. We knew that we had to, you know, hold strong defensively, and that's, you know, it's something that we do well. We want to frustrate them, and then then we kind of unleash something, and and I think teams find it really difficult to handle that at times, and this is it's only the start now for us.
People were talking in advance of the game of you possibly having to take on Sam Kerr. When you found she wasn't on the team sheet, did that make you feel a little bit like you had a better chance?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a massive shame she was missing. I was ready to go toe to toe. I think all defenders are ready to go toe to toe with her, and I really do hope that she can recover for the rest of the tournament, because she's a world class player. But you know then that they have such strength from the bench. So in my head I was probably like Mary Fowler was gonna be coming on, and it just poses a different sort of threat. So it was a real shame she wasn't playing. But again, we still had our hands full.
Finally, Louise, how can we create the final 10 minutes in the game against Canada, but throughout the game?
Yeah, I think you get to a stage where you kind of stop playing with that fear. You know, you're kind of 1-0 down, going behind. You start to play with a little bit of freedom, and you're right. We need to maybe try do that earlier on in the game and sort those things out. But again, I think it causes other teams so much issues. You know, it's taking advantage of the moments that you can, and you know, I think Australia were worried then that we were still going to be on the front foot, and again we've showed our fitness there. But again, it was just a really Irish performance, and we put our hearts completely out there, and the crowd were unbelievable, so many Irish. It was just an extremely proud day, and we are disappointed that we couldn't maybe just get something out of it for all those people that came to support us and watched us at home.
Good luck in the next one.
Thank you.
So that was Louise Quinn talking to Tony O'Donoghue. Delighted to say we've been joined by Anthony Pyne from Sydney. He's just back in his hotel after the match. How are you doing, Anthony?
I'm good, Mikey. Thanks. How are you? Good to see you.
Good. Yes, glad you could join us. We've just been discussing, kind of, well, it feels a little bit like a lost opportunity, to be honest with you. We didn't, Australia probably weren't at their best, especially missing their star striker and their captain, and Ireland had opportunities. And we're just saying, perhaps we could have had more opportunities if the changes had been made earlier, or Vera had kind of let them off the leash a little bit earlier, which obviously is a double-edged sword. But what was the sense after the game in the press conference and that? What was the mood of the players and Vera?
Well, I mean, from her point of view, when she said these exact words, that the game plan worked perfectly. So, she felt it was, that we were an unlucky penalty away from getting what would have been an incredible point. I'm not sure I would totally agree with that, I have to say. Now, I think Ireland gave a good account of themselves tonight, going into that atmosphere and that arena. It's an incredible stadium. It's a very good side. But there's a nagging sense of possibly that was one that got away, I think. Certainly to get a result, because when the news broke that Sam Kerr wasn't in the squad, that she was injured, it just deflated the Australians so much. I mean, it was such a strange vibe. It was like they knocked the stuffing out of them, and it changed the feeling around the whole game. Suddenly, from an Irish perspective, you start to think, geez, there's actually there's a chance here tonight. They've just lost their captain, their star player, their iconic player. And I don't know if Ireland. I understand the approach. We all understand what Vera Pauw does, and they are very disciplined and hard to break down. I just think they were. It's hard. It's a hard thing to get the balance, isn't it? Like, you're on a high wire all the time when you play like that, because you sacrifice playing in the opposition's half, therefore making chances, and it only takes one little mistake to cost you a goal. Like, this was very similar to the USA twice, to France, to actually to Sweden at home. I know we got a draw with Sweden away, brilliant draw. But if you remember the game at home where Louise Quinn had an OG, didn't she? Same thing. Like, you're coming back going, God, we're unlucky, could have got a point, but ultimately we didn't. And I think really the big takeaway for me is that, well, when you give another team, especially a good team, so much of the ball, and you play so deep, like so much of the game is played in your own half, that it often does just take, like, it increases the chances of somebody making a costly mistake. That's the thing. And tonight, unfortunately, it was Marissa Shiva. I think, some people were saying that it was soft. I'd actually have to see it again. I don't know what you guys thought.
It wasn't soft. I don't think. It was a hand on the back, a tangle of legs. Yeah. You'd be very surprised if I would say, Maria would say 99 times out of 100 that penalty's given, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just clumsy. She did tangled legs and she went down, and you have to give it. It was just one of those clumsy ones. So yeah, and look, Steph Catley fired it home, top left corner. There was no stopping it.
And that's the thing. Like, she'd done well. She worked really, really hard. But that's just a loss of concentration, a little piece of indiscipline to do that in your own box. And I think that is Tony Gustavsson referenced it yesterday in his pre-match press conference. Having watched Ireland a lot, he said they tend to switch off towards the end of both halves. And also you could see they targeted our right side quite a lot tonight. That was the other thing he referenced, that there was an area he thought they could exploit. And I think there is something in that. I think that because so much of the game is played in our half against the better teams, that it is very, very difficult to sustain that without somebody just making a costly error. And of course, when you play very good players, and okay, no Sam Kerr, but I mean, look at the players they had regardless. A lot of really good players. Ultimately, it cost us. But you know what? Ireland, they gave a really good account of themselves generally, as I think we all expected them to. And it probably says a lot about them that we're actually a little frustrated that we didn't get a point, because a point against the co-hosts on their own patch, it would have been an incredible result.
Absolutely. Marie, I think some people might be surprised, people who don't watch women's football, and maybe might still be a little dismissive of it, despite, the huge growth in it and the quality that's evident to anybody who watches it. That was a really physical game of football. That was like, if you saw two men's teams going at each other like that, you'd be like, "Woof, this is this is saucy enough." Katie McCabe even said it after, said she enjoyed it, and if Katie enjoys a game like that, there was a good bit of needle in it, wasn't there?
Yeah, like Katie, I love it. I love it. She's a boss. It's almost Roy Keane-esque. She wins those mental battles. The left winger came over to the right at one point because Steph Catley was frustrated, and so they were looking for solutions, so it's a credit to her, but she absolutely bossed it, and it's just a great sense of example. Other players were getting stuck into Rusha, particularly earlier in the game. We brought a very physical game, and I think that was the thing that they probably struggled with, this good side. So we have that in our locker. Teams won't like playing us. Canada won't like that either. But yeah, for me, it's that, yes, we're playing deep. We're playing this very rigid, structured style of football that Vera has set out. That's fine, but where we can possess, we need to more. So I've said it before with Mikey, throws weren't good enough today for this level. We probably kept possession 2 out of maybe 11 throws, which isn't good enough. So we need to look at that, and we're not be a one-trick pony, just ball down the line. They're the moments where we need to possess the ball. That's where you have to rely on set pieces, and that's the way we play. And so we need to continuously improve that now, and they're the moments where we can actually keep possession better.
Anthony, on that then, like, Vera Pauw isn't going to change her approach for Canada, who are the Olympic champions and one of the best teams in the competition. But this is a game where we have to get a result, a draw, a minimum, a win, preferably. She's not going to change much. Do you think she might be looking at personnel to an extent? We mentioned before, Sinead Farrelly again, an hour is as much as she could give. Abbie Larkin, only 18, would be a big kind of call to throw her in Perth, but undeniable the impact she made in that half hour.
Yeah, she did really well. Is that the youngest Irish player ever to play in a major tournament tonight?
18, it must be, surely.
Yeah, I think it is. I think so. I heard that on the way out of the stadium. Somebody mentioned that. And, I can't think anybody. So that in itself a great achievement, and she was brilliant once she looked made for it. So I think, like, in terms of shape or a different approach, no, we're not going to see that. I think we accept that now under Vera Pauw. This is the way she sets it up, particularly against the better teams. And I think that's a bit of a shame, to be honest with you, because even Katie McCabe's post-match interview with Tony O'Donoghue on RT, like, she said, in the second half we showed better. We gave a better show of ourselves. Not to climb into the mind of Katie McCabe, but I would say that might be a veiled reference to the fact that they attacked more. They had more of a go, and she would love that. She wants to be up the pitch and making things happen and getting crosses into the box. And I think when the approach that we had for certainly the first hour, we don't do that. It's we don't leave spaces in behind. We sit in a block, and it's low, and it's disciplined, and it is hard to break down. But as you say, now we're in a position where we can't. We do need a result against Canada, and I think the best chance to get a result is to take the lead. Stating the obvious, but you don't want to go chasing the game against these better teams, or they need to find a way to get a goal. And I didn't really see much until the last 15, where they brought on Abbie Larkin. They pushed the wing backs higher up the pitch. They threw Louise Quinn up front. Until that happened, sure, we never looked likely, really. There was one little break for Ciara Caruso in the first half, a nice move. Katie McCabe clipped it. I can't think of anything else up
No,
until that last
that was
sort
it
of
in the
10
first
minutes.
half, and even that is kind of clutching at straws. Stephen called it an attack because she was dispossessed 30 yards from goal. So yeah, no, there was nothing in the first half. There was very little for Australia either in the first half. So that's
true.
That's why
Well,
it was.
I mean, that's the crux of it. That's the thing. It's getting that balance right, and it is difficult. It is difficult, but I don't know. I'd hope. I don't know. Look, as I said, like, you open yourself up, you might get hammered. But I just sense in the players that there's something in them that they would like to just be a little more adventurous. In these games, we might see it because now they, as you said, got to get something in the next game. So
Yeah, it's a tricky one though, Marie, isn't it? Because a draw, the results fall your way. A draw against Canada might be enough. Lose obviously, and we're effectively out of the tournament. So, as Anthony says, Vera Pauw's not going to change her structure terribly. But can you see changes in personnel, or would you suggest changes in personnel to that 11?
Well, I was cautious of Megan Connolly back there today. Now, it's just because we have two centre backs in the squad. So if you're not trusting those two, Diane Caldwell and Clara Reardon, and you go with a midfielder. So I was cautious. Now Megan did well, despite not being a natural centre half. But we do have that option of putting her higher up the pitch. Probably a Diane Caldwell back there with great experience. We do have an option of bringing on an Izzy Atkinson. I don't know if she'll do it because the France game was tougher and she found it difficult when she came on after Casey went off. But certainly at this level, you need to have players experience at the back. If we're in that block, positioning is so key, and the movement, and so you need that experienced voice behind you all the time. And if you're a half second too late, it's too late. The mistakes will cost you. So I don't see Vera changing things too much. However, she brought on Izzy back there today, and Katie pushed higher towards the end of the game. Interesting that she did not bring on Amber Barrett today. I thought it was a game for her to come in and do something. She went with putting Louise Quinn up there. It didn't work today. It looked out of balance. We saw her at the right of like a front three at one point, and it just looked odd and out of place. So look, and I think we could do that. She could, if she's chasing a result. We have the players there to kind of be flexible and adapt during a game to put Casey higher, or to attack and not sit as deep. I think that needs to be part of a plan. It needs to be a plan B in a game if we're chasing. Has to be, because counter-attacking football, we need more options. So it's very difficult, as you said, Anthony. It's difficult to sit deep all the time. But above all, we need to show that we can possess very, very well. And there was glimpses of that. So, it's not to say maybe next campaign could be a very, very different Irish women's side.
Yeah. Very true.
And they are. I mean, they're on a journey. They have improved and evolved. But I said yesterday, I predicted 1-0 Mikey last night for the very reason that if Australia went ahead, Ireland wouldn't change really, which they didn't until the last 10 minutes. They kept sitting in, and they just kind of, the game. Australia got that goal, and instead of them kicking on and burying Ireland just, the game became a complete stalemate again because they don't change. They just remain as are, and then throw the kitchen sink at it for sort of 5 to 10 minutes. Probably need a bit more, I think, at this level now.
Yeah, Amber Barrett not coming on was a bit strange, Anthony, wasn't it? You would have thought it was,
it was strange. I agree with Marie. I agree, and it's not to be overcritical of Ireland, because this is the elite level now. This is the top World Cup against a team that can go all the way. So we don't want to be too harsh on them, but it's like, it's a good point that Marie makes about the throw-ins. Like, these are things you can't do. That you just can't gift a team away. You can't give possession to the other team when you have it like that easily and that often. Like, that seems like a simple thing, a small thing, but when you keep on doing it, it's not good, because when you have a throw-in, you naturally sort of come out of your shape as well. So you can get caught on things like that. Little things. I'm sure Vera Pauw will be aware of all this, but it's a steep learning curve. And look, this is a really, really difficult group. It was a very tough game tonight. They didn't disgrace themselves at all, but it's just in the top third. She's got to try and find a way to have a little bit more often throughout games if we're gonna pinch a result.
Yeah. I'm going to channel my inner Abbie Larkin here before we finish and kind of try and look on the bright side. Marie, outside of the result, what would be your abiding memory of this first World Cup game for Ireland?
Hugely positive. Such great performances by many players. They made a really good account of themselves. They challenged Australia. Okay, I think Australia were too good to be worried too much, but they gave an excellent account of against a team that could go on to win it. And you know what? They didn't stretch us. They didn't open us up. They didn't get that race that they wanted over the top. And beat us on the race. They didn't probably get through us as well as they had planned. So Ireland can be very, very proud of how they set out, how they denied Australia.
Okay, we seem to have lost Marie there, but we will get her on again, definitely during the tournament. Anthony, just finally, away from the match, I guess, just what a seismic event this was, result aside, not just for Ireland, but also for Australia, the hosts, Ireland, massive expat community, almost 75,000 people in the stadium. Can you just give us a sense of kind of how it felt to be there?
I think the first, like when the teams came out, that was a great moment. I mean, it felt like a great moment. That you could see on the big screen in the stadium, and I know I keep going on about it. It's such a fantastic stadium, the Accor Stadium. It's so impressive. But you could see the footage of the players coming out of the tunnel, and it's just, I mean, God knows what they were thinking. They looked nervous and excited, and probably thinking this is so surreal. To come onto this stage, it was a hell of an experience for them, but it was a great experience for anybody there tonight. I think the anthems were powerful. There was light shows and DJ and all the rest, drumming up the atmosphere. But really, the most striking part was the fans themselves. Like the Irish fans were great, made so much noise and lent a hell of a lot to the occasion. And the Australian fans, to be fair, that they were not, they were out in force. And when they got going, it was a proper cauldron at times. So I thought that was great. And I think for a lot of those players, when everything settles down and then they reflect on this, whenever that may be, weeks, months, and I look back, they can be proud of being involved in an occasion like that, because that was a proper World Cup opener. I know it wasn't the first game, but it felt like the curtain raiser. And and by the way, it wasn't a great game of football. I mean, quality wise, it was, I'd say for the neutral, it was quite it was scrappy. Physical, as you said.
I think physical was, anyone who wasn't Irish or Australian, I think the comments I was seeing were like, holy hell, how bad are the Colombians if the Irish found them too physical? Yeah. So there was a lot of that from our English brethren.
There was a few full-blooded tackles, all right. But from our point of view, it was an exciting end, because you thought they might actually nick something, and it was never anything less than two teams were absolutely committed. And it is fair to talk about a bit about Australia, because of course this is their tournament. This is the co-hosts. They want to go and win the thing, and they were relieved. They were relieved to get out there with a win. Banana skin first up, but you'd fancy them now. They will get out of the group, and it will be interesting to see.
They get Sam Kerr back, and
they're telling us she's two games. She's definitely gone for two. So you think, okay, knockout stages, she should be back fit and firing. So there's a few teams that can win this tournament, and Australia are probably one of them, and they'll be worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, Anthony, I know you have a little bit more work to do and it's pretty early in the morning there, so I'll let you go. And thank you to Marie earlier, who is starting work in her car before the, I think either her 4G or something gave up on her. So thank you to Marie and thank you to Anthony. And remember, you can watch all the games from the World Cup on the RT Player or RT2 and get lots of all the news, analysis and reports on the RT website and the RT News app. So thank you, Anthony, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Good luck.
A supporter and a half likes, shares, comments and tweets. Cadbury sponsors RTE Soccer Women's World Cup podcast.